exemption to this matter. Are the activities of the developer as concerns on board Planola consistent with the objects clause of CEPL? Does the Memorandum of Association of CEPL include the power to acquire compulsory acquisition? Is such a power suggested as a main object or ancillary? Will the board take cognizance of the fact that it is now aware that CEPL in this instance may be seeking a power it does not have the capacity to apply, and that therefore the protection of Section 8.1 of the 1963 Companies Act hardly applies? We are not lawyers, and the denial of equality des armes in this jurisdiction prevents our access to such expertise. An extremely likely event. This phrase is a favourite of the devotees of mathematical risk to dismiss the dangers to which they are not in the main personally exposed. The implication always is that an extremely unlikely event is an occurrence so rare that one such event occurred in the youth of one's great-great-grandfather's great-great-grandfather and none since. The reality is different and more prosaic. The extremely unlikely event is the one that kills. The extremely unlikely event is the terrorist attack on one of us. The extremely unlikely event is Carlsbad, is Gieslingen, is Norman pipeline failure. The extremely unlikely event is Buncefield, which was not a failure-prone project, which brought forth comments such as, "We didn't plan for this. It was an extremely unlikely event. The emergency services were slow off the mark because it was an extremely unlikely event." It turns out that the extremely unlikely event is not so unusual at all. It is what we insure against. Who insures the normal, the everyday, the prosaic? The failure of any pipeline is indeed an extremely unlikely event, but they fail with frighteningly irregular regularity. Has the board knowledge of any pipeline whose failure is likely? Has the board knowledge of any pipeline whose failure is other than extremely unlikely? Has the board knowledge of any pipeline that failed, which failure was not considered extremely unlikely previous to the failure? Has the board knowledge of pipeline failures as a regular occurrence? If such an event were other than extremely unlikely, their construction would be banned, even in supplicant Ireland. There is no argument here. If extremely unlikely, in someone's expert opinion, is the test required to justify any installation in Hyde Park or in Stephen's Green, why not forget planning for safety? Superfluous. It is when the extremely unlikely becomes the latest headline tragedy that the irresponsible become the guilty. In the face of a hugely resourced propaganda machine pledged to recreate reality, we are forced to repeat ad nauseum, this is an upstream, a production pipeline. This is an upstream, a production pipeline. And because such a pipeline seldom, if ever, impinges on the safety of people, not industry workers, the industry movers and shakers have not found it necessary to develop a detailed regulatory system for such a pipeline. It is not normally installed cheek by jowl with people where they live and work and play. When the underlying normality is removed and a production pipeline is imported into a community,